Welcome into the weekly round. Once again, we have a wonderful day. We have a wonderful program for you today. Program. Can't say that enough. It is the 7th day saluting veterans out of these 11 days into Veterans Day, and most importantly, into the Marine Corps birthday, which is November 10th. Marine Corps birthday, November 10th, 1775. I tell you, we are going to have a heck of a show on that day. We're going to have a heck of a show for you tomorrow for the midterms, and it's just going to be a heck of a show tonight. So I have an individual I served with in the military. Once again, I served with all these guys. Nothing but stand up, amazing character people, guys that you just want to be around and care about. Once again, I call the guy, catch up, and sure enough, it was like we never left each other's side. Haven't talked to the guy in 12, almost 15 years, right? And it's like I've known the guy forever. One of the biggest conversations that I think I want to get into is bringing up our children and what our generation, the 1975 born to the 1985 born, that generation, we went out every day. I remember going out every day at 7, 8 in the morning. Excuse me, burped. Going out in the morning, running around until your stomach is eating out of your skin. You go home, get something to eat. You go out, and the only way you have to go home is because there is no more sunlight left. Neither that, or your knees are bloody and your elbows are bloody, and you have a tree trunk hanging out of your nose. Those days, unfortunately, are long gone. They're just long gone, and it's a shame. It's an absolute shame. When are we ever going to get back to that point? That's a question we have to ask ourselves. Is that we're always trying to give our kids what we don't have, but we forgot that we have to give our kids what we did have. And that's one thing that we did have growing up that we need to give our children. We need to give our children that ability to fall, get a scraped knee, get in little cat fights with their friends, beat each other up, fall off bikes, do a jumping jack into the swimming pool in the shallow end, all that stuff. Shoot each other with BB guns. Oh man, those were great days. Can't say it enough. Once again, on our way to saluting the veterans, 11 days. Give you an idea of what we go through when you're sitting around the table and you hear, "Hey, welcome," or "Congratulations, Veterans Day. I'm proud of you." Just to give those people that weren't veterans just a different perspective when they're saying that, right? Just to give them a different perspective. There's always that one. But we're gonna go commercial break. Then we're gonna bring in Richie. Once again, one hell of a Marine, one hell of a guy, and he's gonna give you a different perspective of things. We're gonna roll in here to commercial. We'll talk to you soon. All right, weekly rounders. Once again, we have day 6 of day 7 of saluting veterans. We have my buddy Rich Filio. All right, I served with this guy in the Marines. He was at our unit in 223. He did the "Hey, we're leaving overnight" in August of 2005. "Hey, we're leaving overnight. Make sure you go back home. Make sure you're here in a few hours because we're leaving for Iraq. Kiss your family goodbye," and all of that. So, Rich, come on, introduce yourselves to the weekly rounders.
How you doing, guys? My name is Rich. I love being on little podcasts like this. It's amazing to see other Marines kind of doing the show and representing their point of view. It's amazing. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, dude. It's great to have you on, man. It's funny because through the whole entire segment, we're exploring all this just absolute stupid stuff that we did because that's all we did. We just did insane stuff. We never really knew why we were doing it. We were just told, yeah, we're going to support the bad or support the good guys and beat the bad guys. And we're like, yeah. But we never really knew what the hell we were over there doing. They were shooting at us every day, and we were pissing our pants and all the other stuff. But yeah, man. So give the weekly rounders a little bit, about your military career and everything that you did.
Really, I needed direction in life, man. I was actually doing okay out of high school and college, working my way up and learning business. And I really realized I needed discipline. One night I made a bad decision. I hung out with some guys that were drinking and driving, and we got hit. And I went home and did a little prayer there and came up with the fact I needed to change. The next morning, I was down at the federal building. Once I enlisted, man, my whole life had changed. Every little about it, every little piece about it. I thought I was something special as an individual and realized real quick that life can be tough, no matter what you choose, no matter what you decide on. But the Marine Corps made it to a point where nothing was really ever that hard again. You got through a little bit of pressure, a little bit of pain, but you really absorbed the brotherhood. And after pretty much a decade of hanging out with people sitting there willing to give their lives at any point, you become this crazy, crazy band of misfits. You have to have each other's back. You have to have each other's food, music. I mean, jumping around the barracks, acting like you're psychopaths with pretty much needing a hall monitor. But things that you can never bring back. I mean, you get out of the Marine Corps and that brotherhood, that esprit de corps is never going to be found again unless you find another one of those flying around. And it doesn't even have to be somebody you served with. You see that little EGA tattooed somewhere and instantly it's a hug, a handshake, and a memory. It's something that's really unique. And they try to say it's more of an authentic frat, when realistically speaking, it's brothers you never knew you had. They're just spread apart. And one day when you go together and you get tortured, you realize you like each other more than the guy that's torturing you. So at that point in time, it's this instant brotherhood where you realize there's this suck in the world. It's not just in combat. It's not just in the military. There's a suck for everybody. It's just, we realize that the only way out is with each other, not ourselves. So, I mean, that really changed my perspective on anything. I mean, you get out, you can do any career you want to because all of it's team building. And we're very blessed to have that behind us.
Absolutely, man. No, you completely nailed it. You completely encompassed everything that the Marine Corps teaches you, and the military in general, because it's not just the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps is just a little bit more focused, and they break us down a little bit harder, and they kind of teach you a lot. They teach you through the molding of breaking us down. That other branches don't. But yeah, man, you completely 100% nailed, and you not only nailed the point of our whole entire campaign, that no matter what, we all deal with the suck some shape, way, or form somehow, and we come out better on the other end. And we not come out better on the other end, but we just appreciate everything so much more. Not only the little things like when you're going through Starbucks, for example, at Christmas time, and you want the triple frappe, latte, Buddha, Wooda, and they only give you the double instead of the triple. You drive away and you're like, it's really not that bad.
It's not a big deal. Right?
There's one time I was sitting with my head in a flipping mud puddle, and the mud puddle wasn't puddle, it was piss. It isn't really that bad.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the other blessing we have, brother. I mean, we've had these circumstances where just basic hygiene, just basic using the facilities. I hear people all the time saying, the world's so tough. And I look at it, I mean, it is basic amenities. I mean, we go to the bathroom in clear water, brother. I mean, there's a lot of countries out there that can't drink clear water, and when it comes out of this, you realize the most minute things are just there to see how you're going to react. And we can just stay calm and have a great life by just making the right decisions and not really jumping to conclusions before we do research or anything like that. And it's that infinite discipline they've given you.
Infinite
It's embedded
discipline.
in. That's right. It's embedded in our DNA now. I mean,
Once again, you nailed it. And I think where we get divided is we allow the government to come in and they say, okay, you know what? All this, I don't really like that you guys have a lot of more things in common than you do, not in common. And I want to divide. I want to put a division in between two people. And it's funny because military guys will be like, okay, well, I know that we might disagree about something, but we're not going to be at each other's throat, because we understand that that the ultimate division is anarchy, and we refuse to get to that point. That's what I think why Marines, it's tough, and anytime we see other Marines, digging at somebody about some of the political BS that's out there, we all kind of gang up on that guy. Like, hey, you know what? You need to smack back into reality because you're letting yourself be divided on these topics that are absolutely asinine. And you need to go over to Lowe's, get a head pull out of the ass machine, and you need to apply it because you forgot all of your characteristics that are in your DNA. And and it's kind of sad that our society as general have allowed themselves to be completely manipulated and change exactly what we stand for as Americans,
absolutely.
and it's just sad, but
Yeah.
brother, we can talk the old days all day long, but that's usually how it works, man. So, we got the midterms coming up. There's a absolute, division of how everyone should feel and what we, it's official that up means down, left means right, and water means, dry. So how do you feel, just your opinion in general about the 2022 United States midterms? What's your opinion?
Well, to be honest with you, first and foremost, I never was into politics till about 2 years ago. I'd spend my days, man, and bliss reading, just trying to learn something new, something crazy I've never even heard of. And when politics came around, it really changed my vision, my focus. I believe that everyone joins the military thinking that they are writing a check, and it's to the government. Your life may be deposited or not, you don't know. But we all did it for pretty much one reason. You didn't do it for the government. You did it for the neighbor. You did it for the guy to the left and right of you when you woke up in the morning, that weirdo that comes out in a robe that always opens and he covers himself, the guy that yells at you because your dog pooped on his lawn again. This is what we did it for.
Yep.
So when we watch the division that's going on in this country, it seems very sinister. And I believe it's sinister. And the only reason being is that I can't be divided from my neighbor because my neighbor is not better or worse than I. We're next to each other for a reason. You're going to try to divide us by the way we look, by the way we speak, by what we believe in. When realistically speaking, we're all one family. It's a country. Every neighborhood is crazy because the neighborhood spreads to the town spreads to the city spreads to the state, and we're all one. One state goes to the next state, and you realize that we're not different. We sound different, we do different things, but we love our families. We love our communities. We all have food in common. If worst came to worst, we all love food. And these politicians are looking at us like we don't realize that we love each other. Yeah, there's crazy stuff going on in the world right now. And yes, everybody's left and right, up and down, but it really is going to be a red wave. It really is. And the reason I believe that's going to happen is because every single person does not like the way the country's going. Mm-hmm. You can pick and choose and find the little perfect situations where it looks like, oh, look, it's good here. And it may be good here, but there's more bad. I work in finance and I watch people suffer every single day. Their dollars get shorter from what they're used to spending on. And when they spend the same amount, the product's smaller. I watch families struggle. I ask people, how do you feel about this? And they say the same thing. I just want to live my life. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. And that's common. That's why we are Americans. I mean, we had a big old tea party when somebody raised tax last time. I look at customers, I look at clients, and I look at everyday people, and they're all thinking the same thing. Something's just not right. It's going to change.
It's the absolute truth, man. It really is. And, Bader Ginsburg, she said it best, that government is a pendulum. It swings one way and then it swings another way. And this is my biggest fear with the whole entire thing. And man, you have 100% nailed exactly what the problem is, right? It's you can't be extreme. That the United States is not extreme. Germany, Russia, the UK, Australia, all extreme. Japan, China, they all take extreme perspectives of things. It's all, they take extreme perspectives in different parts, and that's why they all suffer differently. But I regress. We are in this pendulum where we're swinging back into reality, right? We played this game for the last 2 years of, let's give all the money and let's support all the, let's support 100,000 people. Let's have 330 million people support the 100,000 people, and let's just see what happens. And you know what? Let's in an extreme way, let's just see what happens if we screw with the supplies in supply chains, and let's just see what happens. And also, let's just see what happens if we just cut all fuel production. Let's just see what happens. And we're there at the precipice of this massive destruction of everything that we built for the past 200 plus years. It's like being an adult and having a child. Being an adult and having a child is only doing two things. Number one, just being around is key, and number two is telling your child no. It's like, you should not play in traffic because you're going to get hit by a car. You should not spend all your money because you're not going to have it and you're not going to be able to pay your bills. Like, that's where we are. We let the inmates run the asylum, and then
absolutely,
we're at the end of 2022. our money is 10% less than it was 3 years ago, because it's not just Joe Biden and his crazies that took over the asylum. Trump in 2020, because he was forced to. I disagree, and I'm halfway there. He was forced to just start the printing press to get our economy rolling again, even though we didn't have to shut it down. We did, but I think we made some wrong decisions in 2020, and that's what escalated this whole entire thing. I read an article the other day that we have printed more money in the last 3 years than we did in the first 250 years.
That's absolutely right.
By 65%. What are we doing? And I think now, I think there's just some of us that see this huge influx of financial gain, and we're just trying to just take a little bit of it, because it's out there. But you're exactly right when you say that we've come to a point where extremism hasn't gotten us anywhere. It's actually made life in huge cities much, much worse. And now the pendulum is swinging back. And what scares me the most is when the pendulum swings back to where we are now because of extremism, and people will get sick of everyone doing everything right, and that's what scares me, because it'll be at the end of DeSantis's presidential run. And I'm not gonna lie, DeSantis, if he's a very much not only a front runner for president, but he's just not as stigmatized as Trump. And I don't want to go out on a limb and say, I was 100% Trump supporter, because I wasn't. I really didn't. I agreed with what he was saying, but I just didn't like him always putting his foot in his mouth. But that's politics, And he always swung back at people that swung at him, and that's just the New Yorker in him. But he just needed to be a little bit more polished. That's all I wanted, right? But that's how we got Trump, because of Obama. Obama was the pendulum. He was the pendulum in the extreme way, But you're exactly right, and when you say that we've gone bonkers, and this wave here tomorrow is gonna be a hard one. It's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. A lot of people are gonna
absolutely
on TV screaming. They're going to be, protesting for women's rights again. And all of a sudden, Madonna's going to be saying that we want to in her vagina. And it's just going to be, it's going to be a mess. But luckily, we'll start getting our finances back in order.
That's right. That's right. So there's always an upside. I mean, these guys have pushed it so far in one direction that we do agree that we're worried about that pendulum swinging. You're right. That momentum will go in one direction, maybe a little too hard. But I think there's certain things that are necessary, man. And believing in anything, honestly, Donald Trump, to me personally, I know a lot of people, and especially my family too, I've dealt with it in and out. It was too far. But how I honestly saw him was just like a drone instructor. They push it a little too far. But I'll tell you what, the lessons and the words they tell you, they never get forgotten. When the guy talked about fuel, he didn't lie. When he talked about all these countries being in the situations they're in, he didn't lie again. And to be honest with you, as much as some people may be polished, in a situation when you're in a big, tough fight like this, maybe the most polished guy isn't the best guy. Maybe the guy who's willing to take a couple blows in the head and swing back, that's the guy. Now, realistically speaking, politicians, they're great. I mean, some of these guys have studied in all different fields, lawyers, every kind of situation to be in politics. Okay, I get it. But you got a blue collar billionaire who went out there, had nothing to win. He had nothing to win out of this. And he swung. I'll give him all the grace for that. And to be honest with you, I don't care who wins. Stick to the Constitution and love the people. Just win. Do the right thing for the people. If Ron DeSantis kicks butt and he stays to the Constitution, leaves everybody alone, lets us be free to our own decisions, let's do it. If it's Trump, let's do it. Honestly, don't care about the face. I care about what happens to the people around us. I mean, shoot, that's what we fought for, right?
Amen. I can't agree with you more. I can't agree with you more. That's what worries me most. And that was my whole point, was when whoever is the face, whenever at the end of 2028, when it swings back, it's going to be twice as worse as it was the last 3 years. The pandemics, they're coming. 2024, I think, is going to be another pandemic. Black Lives Matter is going to be, double the funding that they got last time. It's going to be, 2024 is going to be a headache.
Well, they're broadcasting it, so I'm with you.
Gosh, holy smokes!
It's kind of like they leave these breadcrumbs, and they see, everybody sees the effect, but they never see where the cause came from. I mean, inflation with the stimulus, and you print money. I mean, we all saw it coming. It happened. It's happened before. And the crazy thing is, when you're starting to pay attention, they always say, if you're ignorant of history, you're destined to repeat it, right? So that's just telling you that the past proves the present and the future, right? So I mean, it happened in 2008. Why not now? And it's the same thing with science. Science proves religion. I know they try to keep it separated, but that's what they're doing to us. The reason why it's not separated, and it shouldn't be separated, is because one proves the other. You should really believe in yourself and believe in what you can do. Science is great because science was always supposed to be questioned. That's why it was so great. Every time my science teacher said, well, what's the hypothesis? No. How many times did you get it right? Have somebody else check it. Not enough people checked it. When this all came down and everybody started telling us what to do, they claimed it was science, but we all know from grade school science, it's never proven. And it seemed more like control. Don't do this. Go do this. You can't go here. Are you vaccinated? Let's make you feel bad. Now it's vaccinated for not, or not rather. It's you're black, you're white. You know what's crazy is that I'm Hispanic and I'm adopted by 2 white people. And my sister's half black. And my other sister is half Hispanic and Italian. So I don't know what that is. They said certain lives matter, but what about the people that took care of me?
Yeah.
None of it really made sense. None of it made sense. As a matter of fact, I remember when right outside of base, we take our kids, right? And they put them in that daycare. All of us loved each other. So we dropped our kids off. They didn't know what color each other were. They were just mad somebody took their Lego. That was it.
It's exactly it.
So all these habits we're seeing are just being taught. And it's really sad that people are out there teaching this stuff. Because really, when it comes down to it, look around your neighborhood, see who's riding bikes with who's playing basketball with who. They don't have anything to do with each other's politics, religion, or anything. They're just having fun. They're just being people.
They don't care.
That's right. And we're just people. We just got to start acting the right way because our kids deserve it. We definitely grew up in a better time than this. And if there's any reason right now to do the right thing, look at the innocent kids. Look at those kids. They deserve better.
I completely agree with you, man. When I used to go out when I was my kid's age, I would go out. I'd leave the house at 8:30 in the morning. I'd come in maybe to get a sandwich or drink some Kool-Aid or something, and
Yep.
I'd be out again. And I was going home when I either fell over and I just couldn't walk anymore, or I ran out of sunlight,
That's right. That's
and
right.
that
That's
was
right.
it. That was it. That was my life. And
Yep.
like now I'm like pushing my kids out the door, and my wife's like, no, you can't just leave them outside to play. I'm like, that's exactly what we should be doing. Just leave them outside. Just
Right.
let them alone. Let them push each other over and fall on bikes and hit each other with a tree branch, and and throw a ball out in traffic, and to learn exactly what's
Correct.
going on. Like my oldest son, he's autistic. Okay, and he's at a pretty good school, and at the lunch monitor, all the kids, it's an elementary school, so it's up to fifth grade. All the kids, when they take their lunch and they're throwing it away, they take their tray and they slam it into the into the garbage, and then they just throw it into a little window where they collect the trays. Anyway, so the lunch monitor just gets mad because the kids, of course, food gets on the floor and on the side of the bin, and then it gets on the wall and blah blah blah. So my son, just like every other kid, it's just he's different. And he takes his tray, slams it, and then throws it into the window. And of course, food got on the thing, and the lunch monitor fucking ripped him up, and ripped him up and down. And he started crying, and then they put him, aside, and he's crying in front of the whole cafeteria. So like my wife calls me, she's in tears. I'm like, listen, I get it. I get it. You want the best. You want anybody to hurt your kid, but this is the best thing that happened to him. It really is. Just a little bit of adversity. He has to deal with it a little bit. Let's take it and let's jeopardize and let's make the best. Let's make him a better person. And so I sat him down that night, and I'm like, listen, man, life sucks, and I'm gonna give you some really good advice to deal with this and kind of put you in a better mental place. You got to take a bite of a shit sandwich sometime. And he like, oh my God, you're cursing it. Like, you just got to take a bite of a shit sandwich sometimes, son. Like, it sucks, but you got to run towards your problems. You got to say, you know what? I'm not going to let this thing destroy me. I'm going to make myself better. So, and I'm going to choke up because I choked up whenever the teacher called me. The teacher called me the next day, and she's like, listen. So I pulled him aside and I talked to him, and because I was just worried about it, because she wasn't there that day it happened. So and I'm like, okay, I'm good. And she's like, I just want to tell you something. Like I'm like, the guy shouldn't have yelled at you. And your son said to me, it's okay, because you know what? My daddy told me that I just need to run towards my problems, and it was a problem. And instead of crying, I shouldn't have cried. I just should have said, okay, I did it, and I should have just walked away. And she's like, I'm so impressed that a fourth grader, with learning disability, came to me and is so wise and understands that. And I mean, I remember I was on the road and I took the phone and I pulled it away from me because I didn't want the woman to hear me kind of, and it is what it is, but
It's a beautiful thing.
it really is. And that's what we need to do for the next generation. We need to set them up for success instead of having them in their rooms surrounded by electronics with an iPad in your hand. And that's what we need to do. I'm not saying I'm the perfect parent, but Jesus Louise, I'm not. But I feel that I at least have the right. The Marine Corps raised me correctly to make the right decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I'm with you, brother. I have two daughters. I know how tough it can be in situations like that. I mean, there's bullying, there's all kinds of stuff going on, but I tell my daughters the same exact thing. You were born because you're meant to be here.
Mm-hmm.
You're tough. You're tough kids. Just to be born, and the possibility of that is insane. So you're meant to be here. You're special, and you are exactly who you're supposed to be. And you'll be who you want to be as long as you keep pushing. The moment you give up, though, that's the day you're going to have to deal with yourself, and that's going to be a tough day. But just like kids are resilient. The problem that I have, what's going on, is they're fearful. I've noticed that the last 2 years made them scared of a lot of things that we didn't think about. Germs, we would eat dirt. I mean, we drank out of hoses. We didn't care. hey, shoot me in the back with a paintball. Let me know if that hurts. And
Yeah.
you know, and now kids, you know, are scared to go in public places. They think this, they
Yeah.
think that, and they're not realizing, you know, danger is real, but fear is an option. You can
There
see
you
the
go.
fear, and you can
Perfect.
choose what to do with it.
Perfectly said. Holy smokes, that's the truth. We'd run around and shoot each other with BB guns, you know, just for
Right, you
fun.
know. I mean,
You
we
know?
sneak to a beach. Our parents didn't know we bought tasers on, you know, undercover. We're running around the sand trying to prick each other in the butt with it, and somebody's going down. What happened, nothing? You know. And now kids won't go outside. It's
Oh
crazy,
man.
you
Oh,
know.
it's great.
And remember, we were kids. If you weren't outside, you were in trouble for something. You did
Hmm.
something wrong. You're grounded. Something happened
Yep.
to you. Otherwise, you're out there, you know, making stories, and that's
Hmm.
what it was all about. I mean, growing up in this country, I'm almost sure everyone is jealous of.
Hmm.
And it's really sad that our, you know, our politicians and so-called leaders, which I still don't understand how they got there, but I don't, I don't think they made it fair for our kids to experience the same thing. They don't get to actually have that. Look at us, we're dumb. Look at us, we're wet. Hey mom, look what I brought. You know, they don't have that. They're in their rooms. Hey mom, can I download this? Mom, can I get this off Amazon?
I
Life's
don't know how many
changed.
times a week I hear that, and every
You
time I hear
know,
it, I want to break
but it
something.
wasn't that. When we were kids, we asked mom for a band-aid because something just happened. You know, that we're out there experiencing the world, not living it through a freaking little phone. It's crazy how the attention's changed. And I understand. I mean, some of these kids are what, 10 years old? So 8 years of their lives they live normal, but 4 years of that they're babies.
Yeah, it's
You know,
crazy.
so I mean, if you what are your 4 year old daughter? If you had a 4 year old daughter right now, 2 years of her life, this is all she's known.
Hmm.
Half of her life. That's insane. I mean, we've got to get back to that point where you see your neighbor cooking and grilling, you're going over to have a burger. You're not worried about if he's going to sneeze or cough. You're outside. I mean, we've all grown up with that.
Hmm.
You know, I've seen guys wear these N95 masks. They swear they're secure. I mean, I don't know how many times we've gone to a NBC chamber where it proves how small a molecule is that can get into a mask. But I mean, if that was the case, why don't firefighters wear those N95s? Why don't painters wear them? Why don't we wear those instead of having to shave beards? Right? I mean, common sense
Absolutely.
is seems like a lost virtue, but some of us still have it, I guess.
Dude, you completely nailed it, man. You completely nailed it. I don't know how many times. So, I was working in 2020. I was working at I was working for a company. I was at Whole Foods, and I was working for a company. I was servicing something at Whole Foods. Anyway, so the HR manager, she's I'd say mid 50s, maybe early 60s. She's just an old bat, and I'm sitting in one of their break rooms fixing a piece of their equipment, and they're talking right around the corner, and it's the HR lady and a younger girl, maybe late teens, early 20s, and they're talking about COVID and and how threatened they are. And the one lady's like, I I don't see the point in leaving my house. I can get my food delivered to me. I'm just safe right there and will have to do anything. And like, as you know, I'm like sitting here pulling my hair out, listening to these two talk about how scared they are about going out into the real world. Like, what what's going on? What are we doing? I say that all the time on this show. What
It's
are we
true.
doing, man?
It's
What
so
are we
true.
doing? Oh, it's crazy, man. All right. So the best part of this show and the best part of this campaign, honestly, is asking everybody intimately what they feel when they see the American flag and hear the national anthem. So I'm going to give you a second to really think about your answer. But you remember Graz, right?
Mhm.
Probably, we went to a hockey game last week or so, and of course, we're two Marines, so we're completely tore up when we're at the game, and they're playing a national anthem, and they play the national anthem. We stand up, do the thing, and we come down, and I'm sitting down, and I turn to him like, dude, I love the national anthem. I love when it plays. I snap to attention and all that, and um, it always gives me the tummy tingles, when we hear it. And he's like, Grad's 10 years older than us, so I always take what he says as wisdom. But he said what he said was spot on, that we internalized everything. It was it was not only in our DNA, but it was everything that we're made up of. And that's how the Marine Corps made us, right? That's how the military makes us when they're pumping us out of the factory. And they make us with this selfless gene, you know, that we just care about everyone else around us more than we care about ourselves. And you hit up on it earlier. And he completely nailed it. So honestly, what the American flag and the national anthem, man, what do they mean to
Man, to be honest with you, it's more than I can explain, I think. The best way, I guess, to put into words, and embodies a spirit more than a person or a nation. It's a way we think of things and how we are one. We are truly, truly one. Every single thing about being an American is the dream. It is literally a dream. People always associate the American dream with getting to the top of the economical status or the economy and doing the best you can and having all this and having all that. When really the best part of the American dream to me is I walk through a Stop and Shop or I walk through a Home Depot and I realize that people are normal. We don't worry about somebody blowing up a Stop and Shop. We don't worry about somebody's beliefs when you're picking out what side nails you need at Home Depot. The American flag is literally the embodiment of coating us with pride and love. And when you pass away as a Marine, as you can see in fallen hero ceremonies, the flag covers you and drapes your body. And you go, back home where you came from, draped in that flag, just like we live under it every single day. I have a beautiful one right outside my office I look at, and it's waves every day, and I'm proud of it. Luckily for me, the guy that changes the flag's a Navy guy, so he never lets it get torn. Every memorial service time frame, that goes half mast. And to be honest with you, it's the best sense of pride. It means that I truly, truly believe in my countrymen. I believe in my neighbor. I believe in every other military personnel, guys that served before us, which is an honor, and the guys that are going to serve soon in the future. But more or less, I believe it's like Semper Fidelis, brother. It's always faithful to something.
That's right.
And that flag's been faithful to us, and as we've been faithful to it.
Mm-hmm. It's such an intangible trait that no matter what, will always be connected through something.
Absolutely.
And when I went through boot camp, I had a drill instructor. Dude was like 6'6", maybe had 0%. Only person had -% body fat, but dude was just a monster. And he said something to us, and the older I get, the more real it is that the national anthem is the only time that everyone's equal. That there's no poor people, there's no rich people, there's no black people, there's no white people, there's no Hispanics, there's nothing. Guys are just all Americans, and you have 2 minutes to just embrace that moment of freedom, awesome. Loving, and there is no division, there's no politics, there is no nothing. It's just take a moment and live and breathe that moment of freedom. And the older I get, the more real that statement is, and he was exactly right. And you're exactly right.
I agree.
It's such an intangible moment,
It really is, man. It's a blanket for a whole family. We call it country.
Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a blank check of emotions, but Rich, can't thank you enough for coming on, man. You've been an absolute gem. We have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on tomorrow for the midterms. We got the interview, so make sure you tune in for that. And everything else that we have going on, man. You got any final thoughts?
No, man. I just thank you very much for having me on, and everybody out there, please just look out for your neighbor.
Amen. Looking out for your neighbor, most importantly, is going out and voting. And
that's right.
You know what? Just go out and vote. And if you're unsure about what you're voting for, just think about the last 2 years, especially 2020, when the people that wanted to lock you up, shut down the schools, put locks on basketball hoops. Those are the people you do not vote for. So just give you something to think about. You're the man, dude. I appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.
All right, bro. Thanks for having me on, and happy birthday, brother, coming up.
Absolutely. Semper Fi, man.
Semper Fi.
Happy birthday, dude.
Happy birthday. God bless.
Thank you, Weekly Rounders. We're going to commercial. And we're back. We got the midterms tomorrow. So please, everyone, go out and vote. I can't tell you enough. go out and vote. And whenever you do go out and vote, just remember the last 3 years, from the beginning of 2020, from our kids being in lockdown, from our kids wearing masks, from basketball hoops being shut down. Remember all that stuff. Just remember all that stuff when you are going to the polls tomorrow. Whatever state you're in, remember that. Remember, I'm going to take your guns. Remember, I'm going to shut down oil wells. Remember, I don't care, I'm getting rid of cars. I'm getting rid of combustion cars. Just remember all of that when you are going out to vote tomorrow. Once again, signing off. Have a wonderful day. We are interviewing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris tomorrow. Please tune in. See ya.